plan one. It's more geared for the smaller church. I write for the smaller church mainly, so that's why it may be shorter than we used to.
great arrangement and a shorter arrangement. You accomplish a lot in a short period of time. And I want to say that the fact that she introduced it by saying, I'm writing to small churches, she established the parameters of her writing at the beginning, and she really fulfilled that. I mean, it doesn't take as long to take the offering. And so there's nothing wrong with being utilitarian and artistic. And I'm going to talk about that this afternoon. Learning how to, work within the restraints, the rules. Stay inside the loft that you've been given to work with is an important thing for a composer to learn and an arranger. Now, that being said, I thought everything you did, there were great choices, harmonically interesting, lots of different patterns and things. If there was one suggestion I would make to make this even more maybe marketable, would be that you do some pianistic figurations that are at a level that is much higher than the rest of the arrangement. Nothing wrong with that, because I think a lot of pianists enjoy doing those kinds of flourishes. I would suggest, this is just me, either to provide an OCA or maybe assume that the person who would, if I were to buy this, I would put in my own flourishes. In other words, sort of just suggest certain, and I'm gonna rip roar around your arrangement, and I think most of the people would, advanced techniques would probably do that. So if somebody who is of lesser abilities looks at that and they say, I have to play that, it's in the music, and they fall apart and you don't really hear it performed well. I think it was one of my early teachers who said, Joe, what your music is not what's notated on the page. Music is a living art. It has to be performed to even exist. So what your music is what's performed. And if the performance is not a good one, then that's what you wrote, you see. So I'm afraid that some of those measures might be prohibitive an OCA would take care of that, put the hard stuff in the OCA for the advanced pianist, and keep it a little more accessible in the main score for your average pianist.
Yeah, because I always felt like that measure, anyway, the second verse, like it almost got advanced too fast.
She was saying that she felt in her own heart that it might have gotten advanced too fast.
Room to develop into the bigger.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I like the length of it. I love that you kept it in the confines of where, you know, I really thought it was exactly the right length.
I think some people are wondering what an OCA is.
Oh, it's like a little miniature, little measure above the staff that has something fancy in it.
Like you see in your Messiah score, those little alternates.
Yeah, like the little, like like every valley. You don't have to go every valley. That'll be written up in a little tiny score above it. You could just go every valley. And so those are often seen in piano music that ministers to different levels of proficiency. And also to put that lick at the end, if you got the whole thing right and got to the end and had that hard lick and blew it, the whole thing is blown. I would maybe don't do it. You could get some of the same kind of effects by just shivering around with the pedal down up at the top, and people go, "Oh, it's sparkly and it's wonderful," but you don't have a, something that a lot of people might not be good. You played it well. I mean, gosh, yes, you played it very good. That's my only statement.
Robert noticed something, and since I'm the editor up here, he asked me to point it out, but this was his catch, and it's a good one. For those of you that were in Ed Hogan's session the other day when he was talking about how to deal with couplets and sextuplets and all that kind of stuff and how to notate them, when you look at bar 34, bar 33, beat 4, that is a very, very difficult way of notating that. You've got 32nd notes, and then the last two are 64th notes. And so how many notes are there? There's 9. So you probably would just put a 9 on top of that, and then make them all, I guess, 32nd notes.
I think that's Sibelius would put it at 30 seconds with a 9.
With a 9.
It becomes a 9 doublet.
Yeah. Because, I mean, honestly, and this is true, the same thing at bar 38 and then the same thing at 44. No pianist is going to sit and really try to count all that out. It's just a gesture, that they're going to play. And the deal is you just need to fit this many notes into one beat, however you make that happen. And so I think that's an easier way of notating it. The other last thing I was going to say, and I was talking to Robert when Joe when Joe finished up talking, or John, I don't know if he was talking at the moment. But did they mention to you about the tempo at the beginning? Your tempo, and I don't know if it was nerves or what.
I was too slow.
Okay, well, I was going to say the beginning seemed fast.
Oh, it
It slowed down at bar
And
7.
then it slowed down at bar 7.
You don't have a tempo mark.
There's no tempo marking, but between the two, I felt like when you started playing, it was too fast. And so the tempo that you found yourself at bar 7 is where I want from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah. I just didn't know if that was intentional or not. If it was, I was
And you
gonna
probably
say-
should add some kind of tempo or spirit indication at the beginning. I
So
mean,
what sounds better though? I mean, what do you think? Should I keep it all the same?
I do. I think that the introduction should be the same tempo as when the tune comes in at 7.
Can I say a word about the intro? I love the intro. It's a pretty stark change of texture and timbre when the melody comes in. It goes from this very romantic harmonization down to a very pretty but a very simpler thing. And what if you added a couple of bars of just the pattern before the melody came in to let us get into that shift, so that it's not quite so, all of a sudden, it's a pretty stark shift of gears.
that would be pretty. That's a good call. Wow, you really, it's great. Are you publishing now?
Yeah, hey Jennifer,
Or something?
one,
I have things to romance too, but it's been years that I've tried.
Okay, well, that doesn't surprise me.
one thing concerning how you promote this on your website. I wouldn't promote it like you did to us a moment ago. I don't know that the size church you are targeting has anything to do with the difficulty level of this. Because
No.
a small, you know, aiming for the small church with this, I mean, I don't see that. Because a church of 50 people might be your home church, and they might have you as the piano player. You know, and our church of 5,000 might be really struggling for a competent piano player. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Not limit.
It's not the size of church, it's the difficulty of the arrangement. That's what you categorize in a piano piece.
Well, also the performance link can be a selling point.
Yeah, that's key.
A lot of people would want just a 2-minute kind of piece, you know, or whatever. This is brief, but that's very useful in some places.
And I guess in that sense, a small church might have some indication on the time because you wouldn't have as many people to
Yeah.
But I mean, I know churches, big churches, that their orchestra, they want their orchestra only play like 2 minutes at the beginning. You know, I mean,
Here's an interesting statistic. How many pianists do you have in the church? One. One's gonna play the time anyway. How many do you have in a big church? One. How many do you have in a small church? One. How many small churches are there? Bunch. How many big churches are there? Not so many. And they've got full-time music degree people. Say, so if you put your industry hat on, you're going, oh, probably gonna sell 1, maybe 2 books to any church given. So the more, to Marty's point, the more that you can articulate in your marketing strategy on your websites and things different. And we do it, I mean, we have all these categories, and one piece will be in 7 categories to cover the bases, you know, small church or moderately advanced, or whatever language you want to, you can meet many needs with the same piece. Because we've just learned that about piano music. You're going to sell 1 or 2 to any church of the size of it. Doesn't matter, except the style of worship, difficulty levels. I mean, I think that you make a good point. All right, thank you very, very much.